Good morning, everybody, and welcome into the half. As you might have already noticed, Aaron Montgomery looks a little different today. It's actually a good friend of yours, mine, and the show, Jeff Fuller of Fuller Embroidery Works and the Embroidery Nerd, who has joined me today. So, everybody, welcome, Jeff.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Glad to have everybody in, and I know we'll have more people filtering in. Please get in the comments. Please talk to us. I mean, you guys are the energy that keeps this thing going. Otherwise, we're just going to chat. We already chatted for a while. Like we were good to just talk. So I mean, don't get me wrong. We'll fill the space, but we're happy to see you guys in, and we will say good morning to you as you come in. And by the way, I have to say, if you haven't watched Two Other Guys, Jay Bassell not only hitting it out of the park with branding, but he said Gösta's name correctly, which Aaron has never done. So Gösta says, hi all. Are you coming in from Sweden? Thank you for coming in. Justin Armenta, also of the Embroidery Nerd, and as I always say, digitizer himself, Justin Armenta. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Justin. And Ramona says, and I'm going to say this for her, Jeff. I hope that's what she meant. I think that's what she says. But, hey, imagine Ramona's voice. It's nicer than mine. Certainly.
Yeah, it's going to be more excited.
I think so. I just went with a different read, Martha says, good morning and welcome, Jeff. See, people are welcoming people. Come on.
Thanks, awesome. Martha. Thank you.
Beth says, hi, guys. So hi from Beth. Wow, everybody's in to see Jeff today. Come on, guys. Chuck says, afternoon, gentlemen. Lisa Shaw of her own, after hours with Lisa, which, by the way, go check that out. Awesome education as usual.
I like the replay on that one.
Yeah, the replay is always good. So yeah, everybody catch that and check that out. And also Lunchtime Learning, if you're in Brilliance people. Lunchtime Learning is Lisa Shaw, and she is awesome. Christine Shreve of, by the way, Women in Business podcast. Fantastic. DJ Anderson, another educator and digitizer. Man, everybody's coming out of the woodworks today. Ramona, a giggle, yes, and Eric too. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get Eric, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Mike, reciprocator number one. Mike, which by the way, everybody, we're going to talk branding and stuff, but have you seen the glory that is Sippy here? So thanks, Letty. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Jeff, for making it. Come on. So M-Nerd, if you haven't seen it, but then also, oh, come on, reciprocator logo, mascot for the reciprocators for Take Up. So thank you, guys. Bill is in saying, hey. Lori is in. Hello. Nelson, buenos dias. Buenos dias, Nelson. And Frank from the UK, who never sleeps. I'm stealing your line. And yeah, Mike says the half gets pretty short. It was 13 minutes of hellos. Ha. You know what, though? That's part of what we're here to do. Half is supposed to be fun and to say hi with everybody. Oh, and creator of Brilliance, Brian Bailey, in two world-class digitizers. The half is coming into its own. So some praise here from Brian Bailey. So
I mean, every time I see Brian's name, I have a book here that's Sashiko patterns. It's over there. Yeah, that I ended up buying from Japan, and it's in Japanese, but it's got a lot of pictures of Sashiko patterns. And yeah, every time I see his name, I picture the Sashiko stitch in Brilliance, because that is something else. So,
oh, totally, guys. If you haven't checked that out, it's fun. I mean, that's something where I keep on promising myself I'll revisit it, but I'm busy making other stuff for you guys. Come on, I can't. I want to make Sashiko stuff all day, but I can't do that. I got to make other stuff. If you want more releases, you gotta leave me be.
Yeah.
Though, okay, Mike says wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, we like to say hello to everybody. Come on, this is our time. This is our space to have some fun. And Lisa, by the way, praise for the half. God, man, star-studded. I think Jeff just needs to host because everybody's coming in on his episode. Nobody wants to see me and Aaron anymore.
I mean, I would be in the comments, but I'm here, so I can't be there and here.
It's harder for Jeff to comment right now. I mean, come on. But
I know I was like, can I hit the end button in 30 minutes? And I can't. You're the only one that has control over that.
No, I have to just be super honest. I have to hand over my heart, say that if I'm the one talking, I will indeed cut myself off. I did it last week. I will have to do it again. Or not last week, a couple weeks ago, because actually last week was like, yeah, I did it, but I was literally the only one on. I'm like, I don't even know if it's fun anymore, if it's just me. So once again, thank you, Jeff, for coming on. So what I wanted to bring up, and I know I've already warned you, I was nice enough to at least warn Jeff that I didn't just spring this on. Jay Bassell was on talking about branding yourself and branding your company, and I just got to say, I feel like I am lacking here, because the Embroidery Nerd merch, look at the hat. He's actually wearing an embroidered hat, so you can't chew him out like you guys do me. His hat's embroidered. But the Tumbler, my gosh, come on. So here's the Tumbler first. Now, admittedly, I got the custom joint. Not everybody's gonna get the custom joint, but here we are. We got Sippy and we've got the EC word bubble, the word balloon stuff. But here's the thing: I'm gonna go ahead and just out myself as I'm an embroidery nerd fan. You got to get the nerd computer glasses. Come on, that's rare. Those are awesome. Supply kit, I got it here. If you haven't checked out the supply kit over there, incredible. I use these trimmers, no lie. So branded trimmers, you guys will not probably be able to see it. I will try and show it. There, you can see it. Branded.
I got those with my first machine,
trimmers,
and I liked them so much. It took me forever to find them.
And here's what I'm going to tell you guys. Everybody tells me they're like, oh, they got these super expensive trimmers and stuff that that are fancier, I guess, whatever. I love these flat trimmers. This is the kind of trimmer I've used for years and years, and we just used to buy big belts of them. It's hilarious. They come from the suppliers sometimes in these big like plastic belts full of trimmers, and I absolutely love these. So once again, if you haven't seen this stuff, go check it out.
There's my belt.
Yeah, there's the belt. He's got the belt on there. Check that out. Big belt full of trimmers, and they're fantastic, guys. They're fantastic. And also the USB key. I mean, so I'm rocking all of this stuff, and I can't stop, but I have to mention one last thing. Of course, if you guys don't know, if you tag your embroidery post with the Embroidery Nerd, you can end up getting in the mail one of these little guys, the Nerd Star, which, by the way, you can't overestimate. This thing is so cool. It's a little bitty, like it's a PVC patch, soft PVC patch, and this little tiny guy here comes already with hook and loop. Come on. That is pro level. So, Jeff, I got to ask you, you have such a sense for like merch and swag, man. How did you get to love merch and swag this much? I mean, I'll leave these on.
So, I mean, honestly, I started in a collector. So before I did embroidery, I collected patches. And one of the things that I would watch what the really successful people that would build a following and how they would present their merchandise, and how they did it differently than everybody else, and how that made them successful. And so I really I watched what they did, and I thought, if I'm gonna build a community, I need to present the products in a way that make people feel like they identify with the brand, because that's ultimately what it is. They want to feel like they're part of it, which they are. I mean, I'm not going to say they're not, but they need to feel that they are. And that's a big part of why I go with the merch I did. The Nerd Supply Kit, that was something fun that I put together. Me and Matt had a good time with that. The glasses, that all started out. I wanted to send out thank yous to the people that had been on the show and had helped us.
Yeah.
And that's where all of that started out. And then I was like, well, I can sell some of it too.
Well, and honestly, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And what I have to say is that everything here, because when I talk about merch, I talk about promotional products a lot, because what people don't know, I came from a multi-decoration shop. It was screen printing, embroidery, vinyl banners, promotional products. We did all of it. I even to the point of most of the film printing and film work I've done for screen printing was for flat stickers, for bumper stickers. I also did that. So we did every manner of stuff. And here's what these items have that is so different than some. This is real utility. So these are good little computer glasses. They work. These are absolutely useful trimmers for embroiderers. They work. They are a great little trimmer. These are things that have utility. So what do we have? First, we have the branding. We've got the fact that it has the brand logo on it. It has the image, which is attractive and well made, obviously. But then the objects themselves have utility, so they stay on your desk. They end up in front of you all the time, so you get top of mind awareness. The logo's in front of you all the time. And also, they connect to the overall brand and the overall feeling. And when we were on with Jay Bissell this morning, Jay Bissell is talking about like your feeling and the way that intimates something about you and your uniqueness. And I'd say this ethos that's going through it, the Nerd Star, the little glasses, the logos, and the text, the font being consistent throughout. All of it comes together to make a statement that people identify and vibe with, and especially the fact that like we're embroidery nerds. We want to do this stuff. We dig into the depths of it. We talk about it all the time. We work on it all the time. So I just have to say, like, I know this is just like embroidery nerd praise video. Now I don't know. I guess it is. Go get merch. That's all I'm gonna say. Is like go get merch. I'm gonna be the first one to go. Embroiderynerd.com. Go check it out. So I will pump the shows and everything else you guys do. But this is backed up with what I would say is a real genuine feeling that you want to educate people and bring them into this industry. And from the education through the merch, through the shows, through everything, there's a through line. You can't fake it. Like you said, you can't fake it.
Yep.
People feel like a part of it because they are. And because you intend for that to be the case. So I just gotta say, kudos. And also, hey guys, that's a way to do it. Like I said, I'm lacking. I've done so much like promo stuff in the world, but I haven't made merch. And I gotta say, if I ever finally get off my butt and make merch, it'll be because of your merch, because it actually, I find it really inspirational.
So one of the things that that you might have noticed and you may not have thought of is none of the merch that you're holding is embroidered.
Yeah.
Because our audience is embroiderers, and it's really hard to sell embroidery to an embroiderer when everybody out there can just make it for themselves. So, totally. I mean, I've not been super fast, I won't lie, but I'm getting ready to release this file.
Yeah.
So that people can get that. They can get their favorite hat, because we all have our favorite hat, and they can stamp it on there, and then they can also associate with the brand too that way. But I know that I can't buy this hat from S&S Activewear and throw a logo on it and sell it to people that can do the exact same thing.
Well, that's the thing. I've had people ask me for embroidered merch. Don't get me wrong. Some people have said like, oh, well, I want to get patches. And there's a part of me that's like, even if I do it, I've got to do something that's more or different, or I won't say better. We all love embroidery, so of course I want to do that. But you're right. If I'm making patches, the likelihood is I'm going to send you a file. I'm gonna be like, you guys are embroiderers. You guys make stuff. Go do it. You can make something on your own. That's why I always loved from the first time you put out the Nerd Star. I'm like, what a cool thing to do PVC patches where people may or may not be really aware of them or know how to use them or enjoy them, where it's such an awesome kind of sub branding. Plus, here's the other thing. If you guys have ever watched one of my shows and I tell you, coordinate, don't replicate, this is the primary Embroidery Nerd branding mostly. Look at that hat. That's not exactly the same. The Nerd Star says nerd on it in the font, but it's not the same. These are not the same logo reproduced on everything at the same scale wherever you go. This is a coordinated set of things. So like I said, once again, not just to pat you on the back. I'm sure you'll run out of blushing eventually after I keep talking about how great everything is.
Well, I mean, honestly, seriously, like this logo, that's not going on a hat. I don't care what I do. That's not going on a hat.
Not without a whole lot of pain and suffering. I mean, it looks great. It looks great lasered, but and admittedly, you can tell that my old school embroidery butt said, I'm going to make something that absolutely I could stitch on. This could be on a collar tip and you could make it work. But at the same time, it's like, but that allows you to do more. Being able to coordinate allows you to do more because it's still identifiable.
Yep.
You can tell that this comes from the same person who made your hat. Like you can tell that without having to do the same thing everywhere. And it's a great thing to show customers, because customers are they're terrible about just saying, all right, this is my logo and I also want it on a pen. You're like, okay, I mean, I could technically send that to the company and have them print pens, but
I mean, they'd probably laugh at you and bring it back and say it's not going to look very good.
Right? All right, let me grab a couple comments while we have people in. Mike says, yup, Nerd Group is doing so good at building this world, filling the hole between the craft education, which is abundant, and the commercial info, which is less so. Yeah, no doubt. And I think if you guys didn't see last week's Two Regular Guys, we had Lindsay Salcedo on, and we had Christine Shreve on, talking about how that divide is kind of disappearing. And I'm going to say more this year than ever before. Yep. Is the craft commercial line getting really fuzzy?
Yeah. I mean, I know of at least one educator, Alexis Galloway. So she primarily teaches home users like how to hoop and do a left chest.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to say they're trying. She's helped teaching people that are from the home space to get to a point where they're doing this prosumer or maybe even moving into the commercial. So that divide and the education that's going out there it's converting, I guess, is what I would say.
I'd have to agree with you. And actually, if you haven't seen, because Jeff had her on, and I got to listen to that one too, a good portion of it. I think that it's hard to argue at this point that there's no crossover. Anybody who's still trying to make that argument, no. I mean, we know that there are the football field size embroidery shops that are contract only. And hey, I've come under fire from them too. I've had commenters who come on from those shops and go, "You're teaching us that doesn't scale." And I'm like, I come from a shop that topped out in the 60 odd heads. And even though that sounds huge to somebody who's running 2, that's not the huge shop at all. Running 40 heads does not make you a huge shop. 48 heads is not huge. That is a moderate, medium-sized shop in a decent-sized town. That's it. There's much bigger shops out there. And I still come from that level. And I think it's even those folks, it's harder to argue every day that someone doing cottage industry stuff doesn't have a place in it or can't do what we do. They do.
Right.
And the machinery does what ours does, albeit a little bit slower, but not that darn much.
Yeah.
And I'll have to admit, I've done doing some sampling this week, running at incredibly high speeds. I realized sometimes even on your machine that does 1200, you probably should slow down again.
And it's interesting because I was talking to somebody that runs a commercial shop here in my area, and he said that they're starting to lose a little bit of business to home operators because the home operators don't have the cost that they have associated with their overhead.
That's true.
So working from home has its benefits.
It surely does. I mean, it's got benefits and it's got drawbacks, certainly, but at the same time, it's more about fit. And I think the harder part we're going to find is as we all try and juggle into our space, like what is our ideal job? How can we get more of those jobs and less of the jobs that don't make sense? Because the other thing I had a guy come to me when I was working in the larger commercial shop. This guy had like 2 single heads, and he had taken a job with his local Army recruiter. And the guy wanted hundreds of pieces, and he promised them all out. And then he ran literally 24 hours a day. He left the machine running as he passed out in front of it. And he seized up his main drive, not oiling frequently enough and not taking care of the machine. And so here he is with one of his machines totally out. And he's now, hat in hand at our doorstep going, "Can you get these by Friday?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we can. Here's all the charges it's going to rack up." And we're at higher cost than he is, and he can't make any money. He's losing money now on the job. You can absolutely take the wrong job for your setup and end up with trouble. We've all done it. I've also, honestly, even in a larger shop, sometimes you end up where all the machines are busy and you've got the 2 single heads for sampling, and sucker digitizer ends up running the job for whatever 50 pieces that day on 2 heads back and forth, running back and forth trying to make it happen. We've all done it, but we all know that there's an ideal fit for our equipment stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've fallen asleep in front of my machine more than once.
Oh, heck yes. Absolutely. I have, in fact, famously, one of my operators, I don't know how he did it, but he fell asleep with his head on the table of one of our 12 head Tajimas. And I'm like, the vibration alone, my man, are you okay? But we were running some pretty hardcore double shifts at the time.
Yeah.
But let's grab a couple more comments because we have them here. So let's see. We had Ramona saying, "So right, but the logo fills a billboard, and of course it's all important. It all has to be there." Yeah, that's customer life for you. Also, we have Justa saying, "Did you say 40 head shop or 40 head machine?" There are people with there are larger numbers of heads on single machines than you think. 12 is not the limit. I'm just going to let you know that there are larger machines than that. And actually, I'm going to grab Mike's comment. We'll go back in a second here, but. I've got 38 heads and I'm still home-based. Business isn't in the building to an extent. We need to be in a proper space, but for now it's working. Yeah, you can. 38 heads. That's a pretty big home-based piece, no lie. But at the same time, I'll cop to that. I have seen people with multiple 12s in home spaces, in 3 bay garages, and also people who are living where land isn't a priority or isn't primarily the cost that they're dealing with may build an outbuilding and have an entire shop on their home lot in a place where they're zoned to do it and run, honestly, operations that would put some brick and mortar commercials to shame. I've seen it in person. So really, it's one of those things like you can't, I have a hard time arguing that home-based businesses aren't real businesses because they don't have a brick and mortar location, especially, like I said, especially after the pandemic, folks. I don't want to say that, but there were a lot of brick and mortar shops that had to close while people were in their 3rd bedroom still kicking out product. So there's something to be said there. Let's see, a couple more conversations here to get into. We have Christine saying, Interesting conversation on 2RG last week. I think Lindsay nailed it with the restaurant analogy. Different types serve different markets. And if you guys didn't see that, it's like, okay, there's a food truck which serves a certain kind of market. There's a sit-down dining experience. There's a fast food experience. And I think that's true. We have the same kind of, I don't know that those segments line up the same way. Drive-through embroidery sounds like a pain in my butt that I don't want to deal with. But
input your lettering at the kiosk. Pull forward, please.
That's there. Those exist, and I still sometimes, even though I know they run, I don't always know how. The guys who do the live virtual experience stuff, because like Levi's did this big thing. I think Your Lie got involved with that. Like in the UK, Levi's had these custom jacket backs and then other stuff they were doing. They were limited time only. You could only get these logos at a certain time, but there were jacket back size pieces that were being done like in location. And I'm assuming they just shipped them to them later, because I'm looking at those going, those are hours. Those are hours of runtime, guys. I don't.
Patches.
Yeah. 100% heat press, pre-made heat press stuff. Just sell the patch aesthetic, people. Still. All right. So let's see. We've got, and here we have, agreed. Marianne says, I am a business at home and I matter. And this is absolutely true. Yeah, it is. Oh no, here we are. Time management. Sorry, my bad click. Time management for sure takes precedence.
There was Aaron.
Aaron showed up to watch, so now he knows that you took his spot and you're beating his ratings. Okay, Aaron. This show should be called Two Awesome Gentlemen. Just checking in quickly to say hi, and thanks, Jeff, for sitting in. So that was cool.
Happy to be here.
And Aaron says, the sound is rhythmic. I have stood next to many at trade shows. Yeah, if you are in a trade show really tired after, let's say, a long session, either at the show or the previous night before the show, yeah, the rhythmic sound of embroidery machines, if they're nice embroidery machines, might put you to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, you could be half asleep and be like, I need to oil it.
Yeah, you hear that. This is true. And also, I'm sure you've had the same experience I've had, where you're at a trade show and you're like, boy, something's weird. They hooped that funny. Or you can hear it from a ways off. You're like, that thing's rattling itself to pieces. You need to tighten that up. What's wrong with that machine? But yeah, that's the sound of machines. I don't find it taxing myself, but years of machine operation.
I watch YouTube videos with machines running and just listen to it.
Yeah, for sure. It's like white noise for us folks. Oh, and this is great. So Aaron on the line, Christine says we're going to have Aaron embroider something at Applicant Getaway. I will make that happen. I think video, please. Video, yes. Please. And Mike says, I've definitely thought about the mall kiosk for the Christmas season. So Jeff, what do you think about the live embroidery thing? Have you seen people doing it, and what do you think about it? I mean, I've seen the trailer people, but I can't get with it myself.
So, it really, I've seen it in person. Mm-hmm. The people that I watched doing it, they were running PR 600s.
Yeah.
So they're not the super fast machines. And it was pretty much, you would go there and you'd say, I want this. And then you'd leave and come back 20, 30 minutes later and you'd pick it up.
Yeah.
But for I've seen it at rodeos.
Yeah.
People go to rodeos and run embroidery at the rodeo. Mm-hmm. I've seen it in the mall during Christmas season doing Christmas stockings. So simple monograms.
Yeah.
I know one person that's how they started their business. They took their machine to the mall and that's how they started their word of mouth. So I think it's viable, but at the same time, I'm huge on knowing your cost. And so you would have to know what your cost is going into that so that you're making money. Or if you're losing money, what benefit are you getting? Are you getting more customers? Are you getting more word of mouth marketing? Because eventually that job has to come back and it has to pay for itself, or else there's no point in doing it.
Oh, 100%. And I think you kind of laid it out really well. When I see it work, and like I said, I'm saying I don't see it, not because I don't think it works, but because I imagine putting like one of the machines that I consider like children into like loading up the ZSK Racer into a trailer and hauling it around makes me feel like heart palpitations. But when it works, you limit your scope. Text drops all day long. In fact, I've seen once again in the UK, I saw some really cool brand groupings where it was just like, even when they did big pieces, it was like big stock fonts on the backs of denim jackets. So it's like the garment is easy to embroider. The text is not going to take super long. They did very much like you did the drop and come back thing. But it's limited. Or monogrammers all day long. You can monogram something all day long, single color per each one. But it's,
five different fonts. If you got a 6 needle machine, you offer 6 colors.
100%.
No change out. You just beep, 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 go.
Yeah, you have to limit your menu. And honestly, the truth of the matter is you have people standing there. The last thing you want, can you imagine opening up whichever software's full book of fonts and just going, here you go, pick a name?
Mm-hmm.
The hours of interminable flipping through that book that would happen. I mean, I've had commercial customers who will, with 15 fonts, will stare for an hour and flip back and forth. And that's with limiting that scope as much as I thought I felt comfortable doing.
It's like, I'm sorry, there's only one embroidery font. Wink.
No, there's no chance I have that. Yeah. Whereas like in the background, I have custom fonts I've made for all sorts of things, but no, not at a show. And I'll say the people who I've seen do it well also, lots of people with their kids where they have like sporting events they were already going to be at and they start setting up little kiosks, stuff like that. And this is actually I'm going to bring in Yosta's comment. We did it for many years on horse and dog shows, but now only in the shop. That's another one. Actually, I have I knew someone who was very good at doing dog portraiture, and they were doing customization on individual items, just text at dog shows, but then selling custom digitized portraits of these show dogs for incredible amounts that they were taking that order back. So it's also about, like Jeff said, use it as a leader into something else. It's marketing.
Yep.
So that's cool. Okay, Ramona also is kicking in her concept. 6 font max, 3 script, 3 blocks, 6 colors, primary black and white, done. So I guess she's got her kiosk ready to rock. So let us know when you're opening your event kiosk, Ramona.
I have a feeling she might have done this before. I'm not sure, but
it's a good guess. Though I also will say, and I agree with you that a lot of people have seen using prosumer style machines, because they're lighter, they're smaller, they're tabletop. It's just easier to haul them around. And actually, a person I work here, Jim, who works here at Embrilliance, talked about his experience kind of doing sew and vac, because he managed a sew and vac shop, one of the largest in the country. And he said some of his clients were doing professional stuff, and they would get those little machines because literally sometimes you have to haul them up to the second floor manually of a department store to be in a certain fashion section or wherever you're setting up these events. And part of the calculus has to be, can I haul this thing around? I know, once again, having craned our machine onto the roof here to get it into our offices. And by the way, the video of watching that machine on a crane swinging is enough to, once again, give you heart palpitations. But yeah, it's something to move these things around.
Oh yeah. And one of the things that I've noticed too with home users, when they buy those prosumer machines, it's almost like they don't see the marketing for the commercial machines. Because a lot of these people that are buying those prosumer machines at 6 needles, they're paying $16,000, $18,000, $20,000.
Yeah.
They could get into a fully industrial commercial machine. They could get into a lighter. I know there are some commercial machines that actually make portable machines that are significantly less than what they're paying for. But you got to hand it to Brother and Baby Lock for the way they market their machines and how well they're known for running. Because a lot of people just don't see that, there's something else out there that might be better or at a lower cost that'll still do what I want it to do.
Oh, it's absolutely the case. I think that they're starting to get where they cross-pollinate. I know for shows, we've seen more and more of the machines crossing over. But I would say it really is it's also about where you're at. Because if you're a place that there's no way a tech is going to get to you, but there is a sew and vac shop that will handle shipping your machine back when something's wrong, I get it. I get buying the home machine. I get it. Even though I obviously, running a big Monsters ESK, and also that I've run all these Tajimas and Baradens, obviously, what I'm usually going to pick. But there's definite reasons why people very logically go with those machines. But I think you're right. I think they'd be surprised if they knew what commercials really cost.
Yeah, I know what I paid for my single needle, and I know what I paid for my commercial, and I was. Yep.
Yeah, no, the $15,000 single needle machine, I have seen it, and I was absolutely gobsmacked when I did. Lots of features, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's got this cool, whatever, but at the same time, man, that's a lot of money.
It may be a lot of money, but I think it's a lot of fun. And honestly, I think we can't have enough fun in this industry.